The main aspect of the new Jurassic World series that distinguishes it from the original Jurassic Park trilogy is the use of the concept of hybrid dinosaurs, represented by the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World and the Indoraptor in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. However, this concept appears to have run its course with the introduction of the Indoraptor, which appears to be the ultimate hybrid creation and the apex of the concept from a storytelling perspective. With the third Jurassic World film already being announced, it's also been confirmed that there won't be any hybrid dinosaurs in the third installment. Tie-in games such as Jurassic World the game and the upcoming Jurassic World Evolution have demonstrated that there is still a great interest from the general public, fans and Jurassic World creators in the sheer variety and wealth of options that the real fossil record can offer in terms of creatures and monsters, without always having to rely entirely on the hybrid concept alone. This would be especially possible from a story perspective if another genetics company gets hold of the technology to clone extinct animals, a plot thread hinted at since the original Jurassic Park. With that in mind, here are my selections of 6 real dinosaurs, and prehistoric creatures in general, that would be more interesting or threatening villains than another hybrid. Bear in mind that these are in no real order of preference, but merely in the order I thought of them. Number 1. Hatzegopteryx. Hatzegopteryx is a type of Azhdarchid pterosaur, not a dinosaur, from late Cretaceous Romania. It is one of the largest pterosaurs and one of the biggest flying animals ever discovered. It had a wingspan of up to 12 metres and was as tall as a giraffe. Because of its adaptations to ground living and the lack of large predatory dinosaurs in its environment, paleontologists theorised that Hatzegopteryx was an apex predator, attacking small dinosaurs with its powerful beak like a modern stork or secretary bird. Just imagine how intimidating this animal would be in a Jurassic Park film. Remember the inaccurate but ferocious Pteranodon in Jurassic Park 3? Remember that menacing, lean figure emerging like Freddy Krueger from the fog in the Aviary? Picture that, but 3 times as tall and using a beak as long as a man to try and spear you like an overgrown fish. And if you somehow outrun it on foot, it swoops after you, engulfing you in wings the size of a small plane. Yeah, good luck. Number 2. Therizinosaurus. Therizinosaurus was a type of herbivorous dinosaur descended from meat-eating theropods. The only fossil evidence of Therizinosaurus that was known for some time were its massive, metre-long scythe-like claws, which were so unusual and huge that Therizinosaurus was originally thought to have been a large turtle-like reptile, or a giant monstrous carnivore before more remains of related animals were discovered. Despite being herbivorous, Therizinosaurus could pose a daunting threat to Jurassic World characters it provoked, in a similar vein to the Stegosaurus scene in The Lost World. Those massive scythe claws could disembowel a man with ease. Number 3. Caprosuchus. Caprosuchus was a Mahajanga suchid, a cousin of modern crocodiles that lived in late Cretaceous Africa. Unlike modern crocs, which are exclusively aquatic, Caprosuchus was a terrestrial, or in other words land-living predator that filled a niche normally occupied by theropod dinosaurs. This animal was well known for its impressive tusk-like fangs and its previous form in the world of Jurassic Park, having been featured in Jurassic World the game. Caprosuchus wasn't a huge creature, despite what Primeval would have you believe, its estimated length only reaching roughly that of the Jurassic Park velociraptors. However, like those raptors, I think Caprosuchus would be a credible threat in a Jurassic World film as a pack hunter. Unlike the velociraptors, Caprosuchus most likely had a lean, low body capable of twisting and turning through tight spaces and tunnels. I can visualise a scenario where the protagonists find themselves having to crawl or otherwise move through a gloomy, claustrophobic space, such as derelict ventilation shafts or an underground tunnel system, where they find themselves being stalked by a feral pack of Caprosuchus, hungry for flesh. Those long crocodilian jaws and wicked fangs would make a terrifying sight in the low visibility and cramped conditions that these predators would be well suited for. And the sounds of cold reptilian feet scampering together over damp musty ground, or rusted metal in the darkness, would be a great motivator for survival. Number 4. Elasmosaurus. The Jurassic Park series is sorely lacking in portrayals of plesiosaurs, either long or short-necked. In fact, neither type of animal has so far appeared in any of the films or books, only having appeared in tie-in games of questionable or no canonicity. This is despite other major groups of prehistoric non-dinosaur reptiles, specifically pterosaurs and mosasaurs, being given starring roles in Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World respectively. The omitted groups of marine reptiles that shared their world with dinosaurs are the long-necked and short-necked plesiosaurs, the latter called pliosaurs, along with the dolphin-like ichthyosaurs. Going through these to find the group most suitable for a Jurassic World appearance, I reached the conclusion that the long-necked plesiosaurs were the most in need of a role. This is because the ichthyosaurs would not pose much of a threat as an antagonist, and would best work as a cameo role, and the big-headed pliosaurs, while they did grow to huge sizes and were powerful predators, would ultimately be too similar to the Mosasaurus from Jurassic World to the general audience. Long-necked plesiosaurs are an iconic staple of Mesozoic life, and would fit right into the world of Jurassic Park. I specifically went for the late Cretaceous genus Elasmosaurus, as it is one of the largest and most well-known plesiosaurs. Although in life it would have eaten fish, the sheer size of the animal means that a Jurassic World Elasmosaurus preying on humans wouldn't be out of the question. This concept has worked before in fiction, such as the Plesiosaurus from Dino Crisis 2, though we now know that plesiosaurs weren't actually able to curve their necks up out of the water in that classic Loch Ness Monster swan neck pose. Instead, an encounter with the Jurassic World Elasmosaurus might involve the reptile surging upwards like a shark from the gloom of the ocean depths with a thrust of its flippers, long neck giving its needle-like teeth extra reach to seize a survivor floundering on the surface of the water. Number 5. Ornitholestes. Ornitholestes was a relatively small, bird-like theropod dinosaur from the late Jurassic Morrison Formation, the same time and place that yielded the Jurassic Park alumni Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Apatosaurus and Allosaurus. It's mostly known in pop culture through its appearance in an episode of Walking with Dinosaurs, though the idea of the nose crest has since been refuted. Though much smaller than those dinosaurs at only about 2 meters long, Ornitholestes could still make an interesting and unique threat for the characters of a Jurassic World sequel to encounter. This animal had relatively long, powerful and flexible arms for its size, and a long-held but still plausible theory among some paleontologists is that this hunter may have been able to climb trees, despite being relatively large for a tree climber. Not only would this be a great opportunity to showcase a Jurassic Park dinosaur with feathers, but it could also potentially make for a very creepy and unusual scene. The protagonist could be trekking through the humid jungles of Isla Nublar or Isla Sorna, or even a forest on the mainland, before stopping to make camp for the night. Suddenly, as one member of the group leans against a tree with some low-hanging branches, a pair of long, grasping arms with sharp, hooked talons reach down from above and grasp hold of the traveller's neck. He starts to gasp and scream for help, but soon more perching Ornitholestes join their comrade and grab hold of their struggling prey, cutting off his air supply and choking him silently to death, before dragging his body up into the tree to feast. Another survivor catches a glimpse of movement and shines a light into the tree, just in time to see a few pairs of shining eyes vanish into the canopy, jaws dripping in blood. Number 6. Finally, we have probably the most unlikely, speculative, and yet perhaps the most shocking candidate, Heterodontosaurus. This was a small, 2-footed, beaked herbivore from the early Jurassic of South Africa. It might have first seemed like a harmless plant eater scurrying between the legs of its giant relatives. However, this dinosaur sported large, sharp tusks in its mouth like a warthog, and evidence from related species indicates that it may have had at least a partial covering of bristly, porcupine-like quill feathers. It also had strong arms suited for digging and burrowing. With this in mind, I came up with the following scenario for a Jurassic World sequel scene featuring this little dinosaur. At some point in the film, the survivors come across a little herd of Heterodontosaurus. Despite the warnings of their resident paleontologist, one of the group finds the creatures cute and leans over to stroke one that has its back to them, tending to its young. Suddenly, the dinosaur whips around and puffs up its quill feathers, a few of which jab painfully into the hand of the character. It hisses and sinks its tusks into the human, before being thrown off and scurrying away into its burrow. Concerned, the rest of the group asks if the victim is okay. Everything seems fine at first, but as he pulls out the quills from his hands, he notices them drip slightly with a black, gooey fluid. The man starts to shiver convulsively and begins to hallucinate danger all around him. Drawing his knife, he screams wildly and lunges at the nearest survivor, who is forced to put him down with a timely shot from his gun. Okay, so I know that scenario is highly speculative, and I must stress that there is absolutely no evidence that Heterodontosaurus, or for that matter any other dinosaur in real life, used venom. But the fictional clone Dilophosaurus in Jurassic Park was able to spit venom, and the Procompsognathus in the first novel made use of a narcoleptic venom in their saliva to kill John Hammond, so this idea is not without precedent in the series. So that's that. 6 possible real-life candidates for an antagonist in the third Jurassic World film, once the hybrid idea has been exhausted. While I enjoy Jurassic World a lot, and I'm a fan of the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor, I do think that the concept of hybrid dinosaurs and militarised dinosaurs is running out of steam, while the fossil record still offers endless ideas and opportunities for exciting scenes and plot developments. What are your thoughts? What did you think of the scenarios I came up with? Do you have any ideas for dinosaurs that could be introduced in future Jurassic Park or Jurassic World films? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please consider subscribing. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you out there.